Tall
What's
guy
up?
trick. Hey everybody, I'm Josh.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are brothers.
That's right. You know, Josh has an alter identity on the internet. All of his friends know him by as Sasquatch.
Way to go, Slow Jam. You just told everybody.
Oh, sorry. You know, he really is like Bigfoot. He's tall, he's 6'8", he's hairy all over, and he has a really big foot. Size 18 shoe. Why don't you show the people, Josh?
Again with the shoe.
Yeah, show them.
There, that's like size 36.
All right,
They're
you're
together.
cheating there. All right, guys, you know, Bigfoot, the lizard people, UFOs, mermaids, is all of this science fiction, or is Satan, you know, trying to use these ideas and themes to enact his master plan? I want to preface by saying, guys, that Satan is a moron.
Ha!
He's an idiot.
Take that.
You know, he's not creative. Everything he's doing is mimicking what God already did. He's just perverting it. He saw mankind come to the brink of extinction with the Nephilim, and so he thinks if it worked once, I'm going to try it again. And guys, you see another important point is angels, demons, they can't create life. God made us special in his own image. They are just spirits. They can't create life. They needed humankind to perform and incubate their monstrosity, their Nephilim. And it works the same way today, guys. Satan needs us to bind, to loose, to curse, to speak incantations, to work magic, to do his will on the earth if we surrender our authority to him, which we should not.
You know,
So-
the word incubate makes it sound
Yeah.
way dirtier. I don't know why. That's pretty gross. Here's my question,
Yeah, okay.
The return of the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Right? So in this episode, they're back. Like in the
Yeah,
last
see?
episode, God destroyed the entire world with a flood. He shifted the tectonic plates, literally blew up Pangea. Sorry, get out of here. Now we got all kinds of continents, okay? And like water was over the toppest of top mountains by many cubics, by many arms lengths of man.
So how did they
How
come
did
back?
they survive?
Well, there's many theories people have presented over a year. Some people say that Ham's wife carried impure genetics, and that's where you get the curse of Canaan through Ham's line. I kind of question how God himself wouldn't know that there was perverted DNA and let him bring on the ark and mess everything up after he flooded all
That makes no
mankind.
sense.
Like you said, some people say that the flood was only local and not worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
But you said, as it says in Genesis 7:20, that the waters covered the highest mountain by 15 cubits, which is around 21 feet. So unless there's a 40-foot giant standing on top of the mountain, I can breathe. But the current probably knocked him down. You know?
Okay, makes sense now. I'm sorry, I'm picturing like all of the Brad Pitt zombies that climb on top of each other. All of the Nephilim were like...
I had a theory when I stumbled across the scripture back in Job 26:5. It says, the Rephaim tremble, those who live beneath the waters. I thought it's possible that for 120 years, these Nephilim were hearing Noah prophesy and warn of judgment to come. They said, hey, we know that God's real. We know that his word's true. So they dug out in caves to try to hide out the flood. But it does say in Genesis 7:21 that all flesh died that move on the earth, including birds, livestock, animals, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. It doesn't necessarily say hybrid man.
demon
It
mans
doesn't
died.
say that, but it also doesn't mention, you know, fish of the sea, and we know they survived in the flood. But Josh, I think the answer is actually quite simple.
Okay.
If you read Genesis 6:4, there were giants.
There were giants in the earth in those days.
Yes.
And also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. And after, and also after that. The correct sentence structure should read, there were giants on the earth in those days when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. And after the flood, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, bore children unto them. They came again.
There could have been multiple rebellions. Not all of the B'nai Elohim rebelled the first time.
You're sneaky, you.
That's
I see
right,
what you
because we know that the Nephilim were around during the conquest of Canaan, and God charged Joshua and the children of Israel, ethnically cleanse the land of every man, woman, and child. Get rid of the demon blood. They failed to do so.
See, this is interesting because, you know, you hear people trash talk God all the time, especially in the Old Testament. They're like, God, if he was a God of love, why did he tell him to kill all those people?
That's true.
Well, I'm guessing if these people that he was telling to kill were hybrid demon, alien, baby, crazy things, that they're not supposed to be there. So that makes sense.
So these giants, these Gaborim, these mighty men, were seen as demigods or goddesses throughout history, throughout all the cultures, carrying out great feats of strength. They built most possibly the megaliths that we have today gave that advanced technology through their demonic understanding. You have the Stonehenges and the pyramids and all these things. And they were all meant in perfect astrological alignment with the stars. They were worshiping the celestial gods in the heavens, their fallen fathers that are trapped in the second heaven.
Does that mean that Easter Island is just selfies?
Selfies of a Nephilim. But Yeshua warns that if it happened once, it might happen again.
Yeah. Matthew 24:37 says, "But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be."
That's right. So though Satan failed at halting this Messianic bloodline the first time, he's always going to try to halt the people of God. Those who are transformed in the image of God, the children of God, he's going to continue through modern ways, Darwinism, natural selection, eugenics, abortion, homosexuality, all these lies of the earth being overpopulated and therefore you can't have any children. He's going to continue to try these themes throughout all time. Because the perversion of the line of humans, Josh, it didn't stop with just humans.
No.
As we read it in other accounts, the Nephilim perverted all flesh, animal creatures.
Oh, I got a
All
list
these
of these
different animal
crazy
creatures.
things. Have
Yeah.
you ever heard of
Yeah.
minotaurs, centaurs,
Yeah.
fauns, cyclops, harpies, sphinxes, griffins, ogres, trolls, mermaids, sirens, fairies, sprites, gnomes,
Yeah.
Bigfoots, Anubis, Horus, Neptune?
Yeah, those are like gods and goddesses, hybrids. So
This is everybody at those little conferences where the kids go with the video games, and Magic the Gathering and stuff. I've seen all of them.
So this sounds like Island of Dr. Moreau stuff, Josh, but were these actual living creatures? Just last year, researchers started creating their own animal hybrids with humans.
Okay, so check.
Actually, it was back, what is this, 2019?
2019. Check this out, guys. This is not so long ago. In 2019, researchers announced that the first human monkey chimera embryo was created. Before I go on, tell me what a chimera is, in case they don't know.
Mixing of animals and beasts and humans.
So if your name's Chimera, I'm sorry.
Crazy.
A human-animal hybrid.
Yeah.
The same research team believed that their goal is to grow human organs from transplants with these hybrids. Now, back in 2019, they grew monkey embryos in a petri dish for 20 days after fertilization.
Okay.
In 2017, they reportedly created a series of other hybrids: pig embryos grown with human cells, cow embryos grown with human cells, and rat embryos grown with mouse cells.
Josh, they've been making animal hybrids for years. You have your ligers,
Friggin' ligers.
No, they've been making hybrids in plants and in animals, mixing things together. They've been growing ears off of
1996,
mice,
Dolly.
stuff like that. Oh, Dolly was
Dolly
a
the
clone.
sheep.
Yeah, that rocked the world, didn't it? She was the first cloned
She's
animal.
definitely not going to heaven.
And-
I'm
and
sorry, I don't know that. Oh my God.
In 2008, Josh, the FDA released a study approving the consumption of cloned meat and milk from cloned animals.
I've been eating clone meat.
Well, we don't know. It says producers of those products, they don't have to put on the labels whether you're eating
You don't
this
have to
material
put
from
clone meat on the label?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what
sure.
impossible meat really is, or is it?
Well, they say a lot of the meat that we get in the supermarkets today are from cloned or altered genetic state animals. And we are feeding ourselves with this genetically modified organisms, GMO food. I'm sure you've heard that.
90% of the soybean crop,
Yeah?
80% of the corn crop is now transgenic.
Wow.
3/4 of all cheese consumed is made with enzymes that was produced by genetically modified bacteria.
Okay.
That's the GMOs.
And we know that all the strains of wheat we get now aren't the original strains. You notice everybody becoming gluten intolerant, having food allergies. We're not eating the original God-given strains of food that we were given. Artificial hormones, Josh, are put in all of our milk and our meat to try to grow cows faster and produce more milk. And then our children are showing signs of abnormal growth and sexual development at younger ages. And we're adding these preservatives into our fast food and canned food and everything. And after a year, it starts to create health problems in our bodies. And our great-grandparents, they ate everything from a natural state, Josh. They didn't have some of the weird diseases and things that we have now that we've developed from eating all this genetically modified food.
They lived McDonald's disease-free.
That's true. And so then we have all these artificial sugars and things that we give our children. And suddenly they're now saying that all of our children have ADD, ADHD, and autism. It's crazy.
Man.
But it
So this is
just
all by
took many
design.
decades to do it. By design, are there sinister governments, trying to create all this wicked things? I think it's Satan Always working, always trying to push man through greed, try to get money faster, try to make this faster, try to get power and glory. But he is trying to condition our bodies for the next step in our evolution to prepare for what is coming. All this hybridization stuff is going on.
So basically what you're saying is what we saw happening back in the Bible's times with creating these genetically modified creatures, he's trying to do today, but he's masking it with our science to try to make it seem like it's good for us.
Well, and he's preparing our minds to accept the next stage in our evolution. All the movies and music and TV shows and video games that our kids play, they all have to do with hybrids. They all have to do with superheroes with superpowers, demigods, mutants, werewolves, zombies, all these different things.
We're being conditioned to accept it.
We're being conditioned to want to accept the altering of our blood or DNA state with demonic blood. Let's look at aliens and UFOs, Josh.
Those guys are good, right?
Yeah.
They're going to come help us and save us and stuff like that.
We talked many years ago our belief that the UFO encounters and aliens, these were all demonic manifestations of evil spirits taking on these different forms, trying to continue Satan's plot. 2 Corinthians 11:14 warns us that Satan could use different ways to try to ensnare us, to trick us.
It says, and no wonder, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light.
Because in the Bible, angels can take on many forms. They can look like humans. They can take on other angelic, glorious forms. You notice on all these moments where you see extraterrestrials, all the locations where people are abducted, it comes with great amounts of electromagnetism they find on these sites. Electromagnetism that you need to create holograms and light images and open up spiritual gateways and portholes. All this stuff used to be, classified. Our own governments, through NASA, through the Pentagon, Air Force and Navy, have released a plethora of videos over the past decade showing you these UFOs flying in the sky, showing you them going tens of thousands of miles and taking sharp right-hand turns, defying the laws of physics.
Like faster than Deion Sanders could juke back in the day. It's not possible.
Just pass off the nose again. Right now it's at about 12:30 and it's passing out in front of the vehicle.
Okay, we're seeing 3 or 4 objects. Can you confirm that it's just the one that's actually moving? The other ones are just reflections?
No, there are 3 objects. Looks like you got an object right in front of you, Mark. Can you look out there? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, let's see. We've had visitors again. Yeah. Hardly worth mentioning. Agree.
And so experts now are saying these are trans-dimensional beings. These aren't beings from outer space. They're opening portholes in dimensions and coming in and out because they're defying our laws of physics. And I believe that's partly true because we know demons come from that spiritual realm, from that second heaven, and they come in and out of these gateways that we open to them. Through idolatry, through our worship and focus on them. Josh, through acts of the occult, meditation, just simple things like yoga, through focusing and worshiping these demons, through acts of drug-induced states of euphoria, you open yourself up to these demonic encounters.
Let me read a story to you.
Yeah.
It's a recent news story about NASA. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is recruiting priests and theologians to assess how the major world religions would react to the news of discovering extraterrestrial life and advise the agency on how to quell civil unrest upon the revelation. The agency has enlisted 24 religious experts to develop protocols for the discovery of alien life in its Center for Theological Inquiry program at Princeton in New Jersey.
And they started this back in 2015. We're just now hearing about this today. I think they're conditioning the world for this one world religion we know is coming. Now, if you worship to the gods, if you will, the angelic UFO creatures,
NASA always seemed like this cool, inert thing of space travelers going out in this, but its origins were a little sketchy.
If you look at the origins of NASA, guys, back after World War II, Operation Paperclip, that was devised by us, America, we took the Nazi scientists of Hitler, ones that were studying making the super ultimate perfect genetic human being. They were performing experiments, making rockets. They were studying extraterrestrial life. They were trying to make craft that hovered, through all these things. They were inducted and they created NASA. and look at the first rocket that went to the moon, and look at the heads of every single NASA scientist that built the helmets, built the rocket fuel and all that. They all worked on experimenting on Jewish people, on torturing them to get that knowledge in order to make those spacecraft. The true foundings of NASA, Josh, were to study extraterrestrial life that was given by Hitler.
Why is Satan's plan to use the idea of extraterrestrial life for deception?
I think you got to look at examples like Native American drawings on the cave walls. Tells a story of star people who came down and kidnapped Indian women. They impregnated them, and then 4 months later they come back to abduct and take their star children out from them. You see that same story in every culture throughout history of some gods, some aliens coming down, abducting human people, impregnating them, that story of the Nephilim once again, and creating these hybrids.
So same story, just different folklore throughout history.
That's right. I believe all these alien abduction things are real. I believe demonic entities are abducting humans. You always read about everybody who's abducted is experimented on. They have sex with these aliens. They're implanted with things, and they create these hybrids that are then later abducted when they're only at like 4 months of pregnancy.
Well, even Zola Levitt himself, the founder of our ministry, he had his own theories that Satan would use in the end times, mass abductions of people by aliens to try to create deception.
Yeah, that he would try to explain away the rapture of the bride of Christ. Imagine, if you will, the beast comes down and he says, oh, all these UFOs appear in the sky. They took your children. You know, they abducted these people, took them to Planet X, the next stage in their evolution.
Only the ones, though, that believed in Yeshua.
Yeah, surprise. Guys, personally in our lifetime, we have had many relationships and people we met and interviewed and helped in deliverance ministries, people who came out of the occult, people who came out of brotherhoods and fraternities like Freemasonry, claim to have come out of the Illuminati and these government organizations, and they all tell the same story. They had sex with demons. They were abducted by aliens and had sex with them. There was a genetic goal of these black governments performing, trying to make the perfect hybrid clone and unlock the human genome. It's Satan continuing his plans throughout history. It really is.
And the beast is coming.
A beast is coming, and I feel he's trying to create that perfect chimera hybrid so that he can indwell the body of the beast. When you read about the beast throughout Scripture, he is a chimera. He's not quite human. He has that demon blood that's in him, and he's going to return once again, and he needs to have that perfect host when he shows up.
But there's good news.
What's the good news, Josh?
The good news
is that
Adam's decision, the forbidden fruit, sin, is where
sin entered the world.
Yeah.
But there's good news that sin entered the world, because you may think, oh, this is not going to touch me. Well, you are touched with perverted blood. Sin entered the world, and by sin, your blood is polluted. You have a degraded DNA. You are children of Satan, as it says.
We're getting the good news.
Romans 5:12.
When Adam sinned, sin entered the world. Adam's sin brought death, so death spread to everyone, for everyone sinned. Leviticus 17:11, for the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourselves on the altar. It is in the blood that makes atonement for one's life. Ephesians 1:7 says, in him, Yeshua, we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins in accordance with the riches of God's grace. Yeshua came to shed his perfect blood, his perfect DNA,
that's right,
which forgives our sins, but it literally removes the faulty DNA.
Yeah, we can have that blood transfusion. We can be restored in our bodies, in our minds, and we don't have to be the children of Satan anymore. We can be of the children of God. That is the good news. Satan will fail, and you are called the children of God.
Now, guys, we know that this stuff sounds like we live in our mom's basement still, and we are very pale and pasty and only ever talk about conspiracy theories. But it's so important not to get focused necessarily on the details of all this evil, but just to understand the playbook. This is what we're trying to show you. The playbook of the devil hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. And the same things that he's been trying to do the entire time is what he's trying to do now. And he's trying to desensitize us to certain ideas and concepts so that when things do happen, it's going to happen right under our nose and we're not even going to know about it. Mm-hmm. Before television, before movies and special effects and all this kind of stuff, humans were way, way more sensitive to things like graphic killings that we now see in any movie on Showtime and HBO and this and that. Somebody's head gets blown off. Oh, no big deal. I've seen that a million times. That's just fake. Somebody rolls up in the street. How would they know if it's real or not? Because they've been fake. All this stuff that we go through has been a desensitizing process. So all we're saying is know the truth. Know Yeshua. know what his plan is for your life and don't get tricked
And join us next time.
by giant demons that might want to have. Boy.
This is-
Don't worry, guys. Next episode is going to be so much worse. So look forward to it.
We'll talk about the mark of the beast next week. Join us, guys, and thank you. We
Mark
love
of the
you.
Beast is next week?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be real good. Super happy. Watch Teletubbies. Those are good, right?